Joining us now, a member of the Judiciary, Foreign Relations, and Appropriations Committees, Democratic Senator Coons of Delaware. Senator, always good to talk to you, especially right now in the middle of the shutdown as you and your colleagues try to find a way out of this and get all those federal workers paid and as they miss their second paycheck. But I want to ask you about the breaking news first this morning of the arrest of Roger Stone on a 7-count indictment coming out of the special counsel's investigation. What's your reaction?
Well, this is an indictment that also includes obstruction, by the way.
Yep.
One of the things that's important about Roger Stone being arrested is this is not some casual, low-level contributor to the Trump campaign. This is someone who had been very active in Republican Party politics for a long time, worked on several presidential campaigns, was close with Paul Manafort, President Trump's campaign manager, and has clearly, at least according to the indictment, is alleged to have engaged in efforts in recent months to do tampering with witnesses and with evidence. So going forward, we've only got two choices here. Either President Trump himself was actively involved in collusion with the Russians to undermine our 2016 election, or the president surrounded himself on his campaign with a whole circle of people who have now been charged with being actively engaged in criminal activity. Door number 3, where the Mueller investigation is nothing more than a witch hunt and will fail to produce any substantive outcome or indictments, is clearly closed. And it's my hope that Republicans and Democrats in the Senate will come together to take up and pass a Mueller protection bill to make certain that in the closing days of Mueller's investigation, President Trump won't take some ill-advised sudden action to either fire Mueller or try and shut down this investigation.
Senator, this morning's indictment reads this way. During the summer of 2016, Stone spoke to senior Trump campaign officials about Organization 1, that meeting WikiLeaks. What do you take that to mean when you hear the term senior Trump campaign officials? We've also been talking this morning about those reported phone calls in the summer of 2016 between President Trump and Roger Stone late at night. Stone has acknowledged those phone calls but said they did not discuss WikiLeaks. What do you take from the specific of that indictment, though, that says it is senior Trump campaign officials spoke directly to Roger Stone about WikiLeaks?
Well, since WikiLeaks was the vehicle through which a vast store of emails and materials that were damaging to the Democratic campaign and to the DNC and to the Democratic nominee were released to the public, this strongly suggests that this might be the connection point between the Trump campaign's leadership and WikiLeaks and Russian intelligence in terms of the Russians pitching and the Trump team catching information they were trying to connect with each other. So far, the theory among many who still support President Trump's view was that the Trump campaign was not aware of or coordinated enough to actually connect the dots and benefit from the efforts by Russian intelligence to break into the DNC and a variety of email servers and then release through WikiLeaks a treasure trove of embarrassing emails. This strongly suggests there was exactly that connection between the senior-most levels of the Trump campaign, which was a pretty tight-knit group, by the way, and the fruits of the work of Russian intelligence.
If this indictment is borne out, is that collusion?
This could very well be a textbook case of conspiracy, of collusion to undermine the American presidential election in 2016. But that's, again, if proven as alleged.
Right. Okay, let's move to the shutdown. Our exercise this morning with some of your Senate colleagues that we've had on is to find a way out of this. We understand the problems. Yes. We understand the fallout. We understand the suffering. We've been documenting it, unfortunately, for more than a month on this show every single day. Paychecks lost, lives changed. What is the path forward here? The two bills that were passed, one Republican, one Democrat, didn't reach the 60-vote threshold. Neither of them did. What's the way forward so we can get people back to work and get them their paychecks?
Well, first, Mitch McConnell had to come off the sidelines. I'll remind you, Majority Leader McConnell presided over that last vote we took in December, where every senator voted, all 100 of us, for the bill that Democratic leader Chuck Schumer put forward yesterday, a bill that was a short-term CR opening the government till February 8th. Every senator voted for that back in December. The president changed his mind abruptly and said $1.6 billion wasn't enough. He had to have much more for a wall. And as a result, I think Majority Leader McConnell has been on the sidelines through the last more than 30 days and has not played a real role. Yesterday, he and Leader Schumer began talking in earnest about how to get out from under the shutdown. Republicans are coming our way. There were 6 Republican senators who voted to reopen the government. So if your question is, how do we get the government reopened first, Majority Leader McConnell needs to allow his members who want to sign on to efforts publicly and privately to reopen the government to do so, and he needs to negotiate in earnest with Senator Schumer and Speaker Pelosi about how we get this done. We've got an unreliable and difficult negotiating partner here in President Trump, who has changed his position, changed his mind several times. Mitch McConnell is the person who can lead the Republicans back from the wilderness and reopen the government and secure some responsible amount of needed investment in border security.
Senator Coons, Donnie Deutsch, pleasure to talk to you. Speaking of Republicans, and you're one of the senators that's always been very apt at reaching across the aisle. Combination of the shutdown, which Trump clearly owns, shrinking poll numbers, now Roger Stone obviously one step closer to Trump. Behind the scenes, and we're starting to see the cracks publicly, are you really starting to feel certain Republicans are starting to say, you know, it may be time to start to jump a little bit of ship here? What are you hearing behind closed doors?
I'm hearing concern. I'm hearing a grave concern about the polling numbers and what they're showing about Trump's base, which has been so rock solid in supporting him. There is now a widespread concern about the impact this is having on our economy domestically, on farmers and aviation security and food security, and the very real possibility that there will be some accident or disaster or problem as a result of this shutdown. I've also talked with a number of colleagues about how this hurts us around the world. Donnie, our brand as a country is that we're a democracy. We solve problems in a peaceful and rational way. And to have our entire government, most of our government, excuse me, shut down for 35 days exposes us to both greater risk and really harms our reputation as a global leader.
Senator Eugene Scott with the Washington Post. We see polling support that Donald Trump is actually losing voters in his base, white evangelicals, white working class voters, because of this shutdown. What message does the Democratic Party have to these voters that you can actually respond to this challenge in a way that's more effective than the president actually has?
Well, first, you know, Democrats have supported border security, both in the ways that we voted for spending last year and the ways we would vote for spending going forward, but for smart security. It's not that we've got a party of Democrats who stand for open borders and for lawlessness and a Republican Party who stands firm for keeping them safe. Democrats will invest in smart border security. But second, we see the real crises that are affecting exactly these folks. President Trump declared a national emergency around the opioid crisis and heroin addiction, and has so far not done enough to make that a serious priority. There are millions of Americans who are directly suffering as a result of the opioid crisis in this country, and Democrats are going to lean in and do more and be engaged and be effective in tackling both prescription drugs and heroin and opioids in this country. This is something that's been bipartisan in the last Congress, but if you have to choose between whether you think building a border wall is a crisis that is worthy of shutting down the government, or dealing with the prescription drug pricing and opioid crisis in this country, I know the vast majority of folks I hear from would pick the latter, and Democrats are going to be stepping forward on that challenge this year and next.
All right, Senator Chris Coons, let's hope you guys work a way out of this today. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it as we talk about the arrest this morning, the indictment on 7 counts of Roger Stone. Roger Stone famously tweeted on August 21st.